Now, your film was one of the most gross box office hits ever for Straight Outta Compton. It really showed people internationally Dr. Dre, yourself, Eazy-E, the life of Eazy-E. It really showed the hustle and the grafting that what it was like in Compton. Now, my question to you is, do you remember those days when you were growing up? And was the film Straight Outta Compton exactly what your life was going through?
Um, I'd say it's about 65%. You
Mm,
know, a lot of it they had to make it look more bigger or more dramatic than it was.
mm.
But we I mean, it kind of somewhat of what we did. You know, we just had to start and we had to create it. And the thing about it, we wasn't trying to create anything. We were just doing music that we loved at that time. And it's just amazing that it took off. And the thing about it, it took off then, and it took off when the movie came again. I don't know how many groups. I'm talking about rock and rollers, heavy metal, doesn't matter. How many groups was number one in their beginning
Mm.
and number one 35 years later or whatever it was? That's a hard one.
Now, a couple of days ago, I interviewed, I believe, one of your colleagues, your friend, I believe someone that you know who you know very well, Eazy-E's son. I interviewed him and I spoke to him about his father, Eazy-E. Now, you are probably the only connection I know with who knows who I can really ask the question without
Mhm.
having someone to be biased towards him because they like him, but just an honest answer. Because I've seen your interviews on Vlad TV, and when your
Mhm.
answers, you like to tell people the honest truth.
Yeah.
What was Easy E like as a person? People say he was a gangster. People say he was just a hustler. I've seen your interview. You said no, he wasn't a gangster. He was a hustler. Can you tell me exactly what Easy E was like as a person?
Um, just a genuine, nice person, not the image that they got him looking like, the gangster, the drug seller. He was just a genuine nice person. I mean, he loved kids. He loved kids, whether helping them or whatever the case may be. But as a matter of fact, he loved helping people, which is kind of unheard of these days. People don't help nobody no more. But he really was a genuine, nice person. He wasn't, well, he wasn't a rapper. He couldn't battle nobody or nothing like that. He rapped what the words he was told to rap, but he was just a nice, beautiful person.
And I recently saw your video. I saw your video of you on stage with Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, and I believe you won an award. Was it the Hall of Fame award? Was it
Oh, the
the
rock and roll. Yeah,
Rock and
Hall of
Roll?
Fame. Yeah.
What an amazing award that's going to be long throughout hundreds and hundreds of years to be recognized internationally. How did your group feel when you won that award when you were on stage? How did you feel?
Well, if you go through the pictures of it and you see the selfie that I took on the
I saw that.
stage,
I saw that.
just as long as it took to snap two pictures, I only took two pictures. For that split second, there was no managers, there was no bodyguards, there was nothing but the group. And it felt like 1989 again. Just for that moment, for that split moment, everybody was on the same level. Everybody was just genuine smiles, not fake, genuine smiles. And it was just something we never thought of. Rock and roll, Hall of Fame. That was
Amazing.
gold records. Wasn't even thought of when we was making records in the beginning. It wasn't even thought of, and it just is amazing that you had the movie in 15, then you had a Hall of Fame in 16, and it just that moment was priceless. You can't buy that moment. You can't fix it. It just happened that fast.
Before I did this interview today, I studied for a couple of days straight out of Compton. I watched it twice actually, and I really made, I wanted to get my questions right to you, and I really wanted to understand your background. Now, in the film, it seems that there was a lot of prejudice and a lot of segregation and and lack of diverse when against people of color. Like I'm a man of color, blacks, Asians, etc., but mainly
Yeah.
blacks in Compton.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like the industry or the world is changing now compared to how it was when you were growing up?
I can answer that real quick. No, it's probably worse. Now it's more, you're seeing it. It's more open now. People back then, people hid, prejudice and all that. We didn't see that in Compton. Yeah, we didn't get treated right, but we didn't see the real, like in the South or something like that. But now I think it's about the same. It's no change. It's just,
It's just on camera. People can see
yeah,
it.
people got like the police. It's just, you're seeing it now. And it's just, I mean, it's a shame it's still going on. If you peel the skin off of everybody gonna be the same.
100%.
Bones and muscle, blood, nothing different. But that's the way society is, and that's the way they kind of keep it separated. So, it's always black, white, this, that, it just, it's a shame it's like that. But
Was it tough for you, DJ Yella, when you were growing up in Compton? Was it
not
tough?
really. Not really. I had a great childhood. I played baseball, I played whatever, throwing rocks in the field, whatever, I had a real childhood in my days. In them days, people had childhood, ride bicycles, whatever it is. Well, we really didn't have skateboards yet, but we played in the middle of the street football or something. Nowadays, kids they don't have a life. It's nothing but a phone or a tablet or in the house on the game. That's it. I mean, it's a totally new generation, totally different. They're way different than us. They smarter than us. Now generation is way smarter than us, but they don't have street sense. They have education, but street sense is different. You got
100%.
to you got to know, like when you walking in a dark alley or dark, you got to be looking. These people now, they just walk right into it. But I don't know, it's different now. It's totally different.
I think what also is quite upsetting is what I think, in my opinion, is young people are very, from how when you growing up, it was all about a hustle. You had no choice but to hustle your way up to the top in order to get there. Nobody becomes Dr. Dre. Nobody comes DJ Yella. Nobody comes Eazy-E just by waking up and deciding to make a record. You got to push and push and push. Am I right to say that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We had to earn it. I mean, you had to literally 9 to 5, you had to earn that. I mean, nothing was given to us. Zero. Not nothing. We had to earn every step. Because when we was doing it, me and Dre go back to the World Class Wrecking Crew, and we really had to learn totally everything. I was the only musician of the group. I can play the drums already. So, but the keyboard, all that stuff, we learned that as we went along. From the mistakes, whatever. From managers, no lawyers, whatever it was, no contract. We learned all that on the fly.
Now, fuck the police. The lyrics, the song, the rap song, sorry, that you guys were told by the police not to go ahead in the Straight Outta Compton film. It said not to do this. There will be a lawsuit, etc. I know when Eazy-E saw that, and you saw that when you were sitting outside the hotel. I've seen the video, in the movie, etc. You're saying, no, we could use this as publicity. Now that was a very smart thinking of Eazy to do that and use that and say, look, this is what we get every day. Was that something fuck the police? Who decided to go with that? Was that Dre? Was that yourself? Did you all encourage each other and said, let's just do this?
I don't know who exactly came up with it. Maybe Cube and Dre or something. But all we did was just make the song. We
Mm.
didn't know it would change things or not. Well, it didn't change nothing or it would start anything. We just made a song that people wanted to say them particular words
Mm.
forever. But in the older days, you didn't say that. You can't like they are nowadays. They in the cop's face cussing them out. You could not do that back then. Not at all. What we said, what we wrote about is what people wanted to say over the years for whatever reason, whether they got a ticket and didn't deserve a ticket, whatever the reason was.
Intimidation.
They always wanted to say that, and we just happened to say it. But we never knew 35 years later, it was the most downloaded song over a summer or two ago. We never knew that. We didn't make it for that. We just did something and we wanted to say that, and that's what it was. And then the FBI helped us out by sending us a letter.
That lesser.
MTV banned us. That helped us out. So, just everything like clicked in place. We didn't try to make gold records or platinums or triple platinum, whatever it is. That wasn't even in our minds at all. We just happened to be there at the right time.
Have you ever, when you see Q, you see Dre, and it comes back with so many memories. Do you guys still talk to each other and say, how on earth are we here today, still alive? How on earth have we, become who we are today? Do you ever, it's nice to always have that conversations with the people that you grew up with, and it makes you more humble. Do you still have them little conversations from time to time?
Not really.
Not
Not
fair.
really. It's more generic to me nowadays. When I see when Dre invite me to the game or his house or something, we don't really talk about the old school. Not at all, to tell you the truth. It just it's more generic, it's just cool, but it's not like the old chemistry.
Mm.
It's not that.
Mm.
Not that. The old chemistry, that was like once in a lifetime, just a perfect circle.
100%.
You can't get that back.
100%.
Everybody's grown, everybody's this, that, going different ways, but it's okay. It just what's up, this, that, it ain't like the old days. Nah.
Now, also, I also want to ask a couple of questions. Now, I want to be very direct, and I also want to ask you serious questions because I feel like, the world wants to know the truth, right? People say, we live in a world where people will say something without actually knowing from the actual crew, the mutual friends, etc. Now, a very simple question. What really happened to Eazy-E? Because I know you went to the funeral, I know you went to hospital, etc., etc., and you paid your respects. What really happened without having the media tell us something or a fan tell it or someone else from who doesn't know? What really happened?
To tell you the truth, I have no idea. All I know is he caught something or whatever, that's all I know. And then, the thing is, I guess there was fluid or something on his lungs or something like that. So he knew there was a 50-50 chance or whatever the chances was, I don't know. I didn't get to talk to him about this. But I talked to him the last time on the phone. It wasn't about this because I didn't know nothing about it.
Mm.
And so he knew before going into that, whatever that surgery they were trying to do, he had a chance to come out or not. So he came out and they had to put him in a coma, induced coma, because he had a breathing tube or whatever he had. They had a thing in his mouth to breathe. So they had put you in a coma so you won't be trying to yank it out and stuff.
Mm.
So I mean, all the way up into the surgery, because I know my buddy that was going there every day. He didn't tell me until after the fact, but he was going in the room every day. He was like normal, just sitting in the bed, normal, sitting in the dark. He would come there, open the blinds or curtains or whatever they had in the room, and just try to sure it on, and just that's it. It's just something he caught.
But
Whatever reason,
but
what
with all
happened,
due,
I have
but
no
with all
idea.
due, but with all due respect to DJ Yellow, I understand. I respect that. It's just the fact that I've got friends. I have a friend of mine who had AIDS. I had a friend of mine who had HIV, and you can see it in their face. You can see it in their body deteriorating. With with friends of friends and friends who knew him and people that knew him, he didn't look like he had AIDS. It must have been, it was so quick. It was a week. I think a week, is that right? A week that
No, it was he went in about a month, I would say about it, because he was at one hospital.
hmm,
Then he went to Cedar Sinai the last couple of weeks. I mean, I looked at pictures. I got pictures from he gave me a party in '04 and he gave me a party in '03.
hmm,
I put the two pictures of us, me and him, side by side each other.
hmm.
He was a lot smaller in '04
Right,
or '94, whatever it was.
right.
He was a lot really very light, very light in weight for him.
Hmm,
I can see it in the picture. Normally you couldn't see it. He wasn't sick. He had some kind of, I think he had bronchitis or something.
hmm.
That's what made him eventually go to the hospital.
Right.
So I don't know. The past them 3 months, I would say 95, January, February, March. Only seen him a couple of times. I have no idea. Maybe no, I couldn't tell you. All I know is he's not coming back. He's gone. That's it. No matter what we think, what we find out, whatever it is, you're not going to bring him back. And I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't want to speculate. I don't want
No,
to
I
guess.
appreciate it. No, I appreciate that,
Yeah,
DJ.
and I never have. I
No, I
mean,
appreciate
people
that.
they ask
I
this
appreciate that.
question
Hmm.
many times. It's just like
I
I
bet
have
you've
no
had these
idea.
questions many times to you.
Yeah,
I have
yeah,
no
but it's
doubt
just
in my
like
mind. Yeah, because you're the
I
closest
mean,
person. You were the
even
closest
if they
person.
find
Yeah,
exactly or
yeah,
whatever it was,
yeah.
still not gonna bring them back. And it's just like so. I don't know. It was fast. Yeah. I
But
mean, what people told me about the actual disease and stuff that was awfully fast, but I don't know.
do you know
I
what?
have
Do you
no
know? Do you
idea.
know? Do you know what I mean, from my research, because remember, even though sometimes in Britain, in England, we only
Mm-hmm.
know so much what we know, but in America, because it's such a big country, but when you get to know about N.W.A, you do your research, and then the Straight Outta Compton is not just a local movie; it's an
Mm-hmm.
international blockbuster. So you
Yeah.
get to really understand. Now, when I found out about a guy called Suge Knight, who was the owner of Death Row Records, and he was sitting on Jimmy Kimmel, with his
Mm-hmm.
feet up, cigar up,
Yeah,
etc.
I heard. I heard about that. I didn't see it. I
Right.
heard about
I
it, but
saw
I
that.
usually
I
don't
saw
talk
that
about
live.
him.
Yeah.
It ain't my business. I mean, hey,
Yeah. Well,
that
so when I
he
saw, yeah,
he
but
have to live with that. Whatever. I don't even touch that. I stay out of everybody's
no,
business.
fair enough.
Ev-
Fair enough.
Yeah, everybody grown. I don't want to know
Yeah,
nothing
fair
about
enough.
them. I've
But I
heard
also,
what you heard.
but I also think him saying, with his cigar up and sitting there on the armchair, and Jimmy Kimmel saying this is an Eazy-E thing, to me that's quite sick. That's evil. Even if it was a joke, even if he didn't do
Yeah,
it, it's a very sick thing to say about someone who died.
yeah. I mean, payback is something else. it
Absolutely,
it is something else. You reap what you sow.
100%,
Definitely.
100%. Now, my other question to you now is,
Uh-huh.
going back into, you know, we've talked about the film, we've talked about Eazy, your artists that you've worked with. Who's one of the most nicest people that you've worked with, besides? your crew. Let's put your crew to one side for a sec. Someone that you like as an artist today, like someone in this generation, or maybe someone who isn't so popular but is doing very well. Who's someone that you think could do very well in the future?
I really don't know, to tell you the truth. I didn't work with very many people. Only
Right.
worked with the Ruthless.
Okay.
Only stayed inside that family.
Hmm.
We didn't produce outside of Ruthless at
Hmm.
all. The JJ Fads, whatever, all the groups. I didn't do Michelle, none of the Michelle or the DLC,
Hmm.
but we only produced inside of the family. It wasn't producing for this person, producing for never that. I guess just like the group, we didn't have to make demos to work it and try to get it played. Or, we didn't have to go through all that. We just did it. That's it. We just did it. What you like it or you don't like it. That's all it was. Wasn't nothing in the middle. So only person I don't listen to today's music at all.
Hmm.
It just
Fair enough.
it's too many. It's nothing different. It's all the same. It sounds the same. Very few people stand out. The Kendricks, the Snoop still around. Only few. The
I like Snoop.
Eminems, they stand out away from the crowd. The crowd is just the same. Sound the same, look the same, talk the same. It's nothing new these days. Nothing new.
You talking about Ruthless, right? That's just pinged into my head.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry, your manager,
Mm-hmm.
your former manager, well, former road manager, the one who was in
Well, no, he was the man.
he was a manager,
He was the
right?
manager.
He
Yeah.
was a manager in the Straight Outta Compton film. Now, obviously, he was portrayed at the end as some kind of villain. That what he did to Eazy-E by taking all the money, etc., etc. When you was around, do you think Eazy-E was he had the wool pull over his eyes?
I'll put it like this: E was just as bad as us. We didn't know anything.
Right.
We didn't know nothing about publishing, writers, producers, artists,
Hmm.
all these different ways that you make money off of one song. He probably was just signing stuff he knew nothing about. I'm quite sure he was. He didn't know. He from the ghetto just like us. We don't know. We had to take years of getting beat, cheated, whatever, to learn. We had to learn from our mistakes. Unfortunately, he didn't get to learn because he left during all these mistakes. So it was just, I'm quite sure many times he's signing papers. He don't know what it is. He just know what they tell him that it is.
But
It
you
could have
guys
been
are a bit.
anything.
But you guys are you Ice Cube, Dre yourself. You're a bit more smarter than that. You walked away before Eazy-E walked away. Am I
I
right?
didn't walk. No, I didn't. I didn't walk away.
Right. Fair
I
enough.
stayed to the very end.
Right.
Everybody else left.
Right.
Went on their own way. I stayed till he died. And it's just we was just taken advantage of. That's all it was. People that been in the business for years know the game. We didn't know the game. We had to learn the game. That's a big difference. Knowing it and learning it. Learning it, you're gonna lose most of the time. But fortunately, we did enough record sales. We did enough to get over that hump. Most people can't get past the hump when they done been cheated and this and that. They can't get past it. They quit or whatever. We did so much so fast. Like we produced all these records in the beginning. JJ Fad, Eazy's album, N.W.A album, singles and all that without paperwork. We just did it as shaking hands. That's how we did it.
Hmm.
We didn't. The movie was kind of accurate the way we signed contracts during the middle of the tour. That's what really happened.
Hmm.
That was the first contract we signed was during the tour in '89. But we had already been making records for the past 2 years. So we was in the studio, we were doing stuff so fast and album after album. And fortunately the albums was hits, hits,
It was
hits.
amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Without paperwork. None of that was done with paperwork. None of it.
And also, you were at the time. I mean, it wasn't really my time. It may have been just before, but Death Row Records was one of the most influential records company. And I believe when Dre, was it yourself? Did you go to Death Row or not?
No.
No,
I stayed with E.
fair enough. But Dre, I believe, went to Death Row with Suge Knight. Now, what was the people have this speculation that Death Row Records in the studio was rough, it was tough. All these stories about Suge Knight doing all this bad stuff, etc. But people say Death Row was an amazing empire, but it got spoiled by someone who just didn't appreciate the artists. Am I right to say that?
I have no idea. I don't know nothing about them. They was the enemy.
Right.
At that time, they was the enemy. So I couldn't tell you nothing about that. I have nothing to say about them. I mean, yeah, they did very well or whatever. I don't know. I didn't even listen to the records. Because I was still with E and I just still was ruthless. Them days it was ruthless. And there was Death Row came and it wasn't no together. It wasn't.
Did you ever meet Tupac? Have you ever met Tupac before?
I met him once.
Right.
And I remember I was getting out the car, going to get something to eat, and he was coming from the place I was going to get something to eat. And he said, "Hey, what up, Yella?" But this was when he was wearing a high top fade.
Right.
This was before Death Row days.
Right.
So he was still
energetic
probably,
character.
Yeah, probably Digital Underground still. Or right after. I don't know. But yeah, that's the only time I ever met him.
It's sad to see what happened to Tupac, Biggie Smalls, etc. I'm going to go to my last couple of questions for you, and then I'm going to let you continue your night. Do you feel your character and all the characters in Straight Outta Compton was played correctly? Because Ice Cube had his son, Eazy-E, the actor who looked identical. I mean, but literally a split image of Eazy-E. Were you guys satisfied? Did it bring you to tears when you saw that movie?
It was amazing that most of the characters kind of look like us, especially my character. Yeah. Cube's son was, right on it. He's taller than his daddy, and my character was shorter than me. So during the whole movie, he had like 3-inch special made tennis shoes or something, so he could be tall. He wasn't tall, but they kind of look like us, and they studied the parts, our mannerism, and how we would react and stuff. We didn't sit there and teach them or nothing like that. So when I met the actor, it was right before shooting. I looked up like, that looked like me walking down the hallway. I'm like, wait. I didn't know it was the actor. And I'm like, wow. I mean, he chewed gum, he held his head. However I leaned in the picture, he did the same thing. He said he studied me. I'm like, study me? What do you mean study me? Sound creepy. But that's how they did.
It was amazing.
What they wanted to use was no big name actors. So the story itself was the actor.
Of course it was. Absolutely.
Only the big actor was the one playing Jerry Heller, which was a great actor. But they wanted our characters just to be no names, but they can act. That's why Eazy's son didn't play him, because he didn't go to acting school.
Right. And also he also told me that he didn't also lose weight. So
yeah, he didn't lose weight either.
Yeah.
Because his daddy wasn't as big as him at that time. but they were the character. They just came out almost perfect. Almost perfect.
Amazing. Now, last question for you. Now, I would love your opinion, because I think, an opinion is important, regardless. Your opinion about Kanye West. I have to ask you the question about that, because Kanye West makes a lot of news, regardless if he says inappropriate things, tweets, Facebooks, Instagram, etc. He's always got, and he's a very opinionated person. Good, bad, I don't know. That's up to the public. But when you see someone who has such a high profile and he's always making news, regardless, him as an artist, what do you think?
I don't think nothing. Don't know nothing about it. Don't listen to it. I don't know nothing about his music. It just, I've learned over the years, I mind my own business. I
Yeah,
stay
fair enough.
out of everybody